And this whole thing kind of reminds me of a social media post I saw a few years ago. I think I may have mentioned it. I've mentioned it somewhere. I can't remember exactly where. But someone was sharing a story about how they had tried to help a homeless person by buying them food. And I think the person was maybe asking for money, but this person sharing the story said, well, yeah, rather than giving you money, I'm going to the local shop. And they went and I think bought them some food and brought it out in a bag, gave it to them. And then this other person went back into the shop, took back the food and got a refund so that they had the money for it. And the person telling this story was absolutely incensed by this, like how ungrateful this person is, how entitled they were to take what I'd given them and to go and exchange it for money. And a lot of the people commenting below agreed. But there were a few that had this sort of, I guess a philosophical take, some more interesting questions to ask around human dignity and ownership and control. We attach conditions to things, often without realizing. You're going and gifting this food to someone, but it's hugely conditional on them doing what you expect them to do with it. We expect people to do what we want them to. But at what point does the gift become the possession of the other person? At what point does that food become that other person's food? At what point were they in a position to choose what to do with the objects they owned? Did this person ask, what they wanted to eat? No. Did they ask, is there anything that you don't like? No. He took the decision that he was sort of in a position to be a better decision maker. And I guess took the approach that beggars can't be choosers. That was essentially the position they took. Nothing indicated that he knew anything about this person. He didn't know what sort of allergies they might have had, anything like that. He just made a judgment, bought food, maybe to make himself feel a bit better, and then felt entitled to control the behavior of this other person by indebting him to a certain set of actions, demands, expectations that, here's a gift, but you must use it in the way that I demand you to. And so it makes me think, what is a gift? I think a gift is really difficult to define. And gifting is a really interesting area to explore. We might find all sorts of strange ideas and beliefs, values locked up, lurking beneath the dust around these ideas. If someone buys you a gift that you don't want, what do you do with it? Do you feel sort of obligated to it, maybe for a certain amount of time? Are you able to resell it, re-gift it? What does this other person think? Likewise, if you give something to someone as a gift and then you see that they're like reselling it or they're giving it away, what does that make you think? Are we able to let go, to pass on, to truly give unconditionally, which I suppose is the definition of a gift, is it not? To give freely without expectation or entitlement to what happens with the thing once you've sort of passed it on to this other person. Otherwise, it's a transaction. Maybe not in the traditional sense of, paying money in exchange for something or some kind of swap so that I give you goods and services in exchange for something in return, whether that's, something now or something in the future, or even something sort of non-physical, like I expect maybe just gratitude, maybe like an even gratitude. A true gift doesn't require gratitude because that makes the transaction that's a big one that confronts me, because you give a gift, you want to know the other person's grateful. And if they're not, and you're like, well, I shouldn't have given them, it's not a gift, is it? That's one to sit with. That's quite a, I don't know, I feel quite confronted by that idea. And gifts can be complex. This is something that we talked about in our conversation, like the kind of idea of receiving from people. Like, are we able to receive freely without then feeling indebted? Given the world that we live in and the market models we swim around every day, it can feel hard to receive a gift without feeling that sense of burden. Even if the gift giver has made it clear, like, I don't, like, honestly, this is this is yours. I don't want anything in return. It can still sort of linger. It can still sit there. And this is, I think a topic that we're going to explore more. Like we talked at the end of our conversation about, has anything come out of this that would be worth diving deeper into? And that was definitely something that was there, whether that's a thing for a lot of highly sensitive people. I'd love to hear from you if that's something that kind of resonates as you're listening to that.